Our first story comes from Sarah, who experienced a bone-chilling encounter one night. Sarah was alone at home, watching TV in the living room, while her bedroom door was slightly ajar. It was around 2 a.m. when she heard what she thought was her front door creaking open. Assuming it was just the house settling, she tried to ignore it. But then she heard footsteps, soft, deliberate footsteps moving toward her bedroom. Her heart raced as she tiptoed to the door to listen. The footsteps stopped. Sarah peered out and saw a shadowy figure standing in the hallway. Terrified, she quickly locked herself in her bedroom and called 911. The police arrived shortly, but they found no one in the house. They did, however, discover muddy footprints leading from the front door to Sarah's bedroom. No one was ever caught, and Sarah still shudders at the thought of the stranger who came so close. The next story begins with Mark, an avid urban explorer who stumbled upon an old abandoned house on the outskirts of town. Intrigued by its decaying charm, Mark decided to document the place, unaware of the dark history tied to it. The house had been vacant for years, following the disappearance of its last occupant under mysterious circumstances. Mark entered through a broken window and began photographing the eerie interiors, dusty furniture, peeling wallpaper, and broken mirrors. Everything was as one would expect from an old, forgotten home. However, as he ventured deeper into the house, he started hearing faint noises, creaks and whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. He dismissed them as the settling of the old structure until he noticed a series of disturbing drawings on the walls. They depicted people in distress and strange symbols. Suddenly, Mark heard what sounded like footsteps following him. He turned around to find nothing, but the air grew colder. As he made his way to the basement, he found a door that led to a hidden room. Inside was a chilling discovery: photographs of strangers pinned to a wall with red markings. A note on the floor read, "You're next." Panicking, Mark fled the house, but not before noticing his own photo among the collection. To this day, he avoids that area, haunted by the possibility that someone or something was watching him all along. A young woman named Lisa, who had recently moved to a quiet suburban neighborhood. The community was friendly, and Lisa quickly became acquainted with her neighbors. One evening, she noticed that the lights in the house next door had been off for several days, and the yard began to look unkempt. Worried about her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, Lisa decided to check in. She knocked on the door several times but received no response. The door was unlocked, so she cautiously entered the home. It was eerily silent inside. The living room was filled with dust, and there were half-eaten meals on the dining table. Lisa called out, but there was no answer. As she wandered through the house, she found personal items scattered about: a diary on the bed, medications in the bathroom, and an old photograph of Mrs. Peterson with a man Lisa didn't recognize. She decided to leave and call the police. The authorities arrived and conducted a search but found no sign of Mrs. Peterson. They discovered that the woman had been missing for weeks, but no one had noticed because her disappearance was so gradual. The most chilling detail? The photograph Lisa found was dated just a few days before she had visited, suggesting that Mrs. Peterson had vanished right before her eyes. Lisa still wonders if something sinister happened in that house. Our next story is from Michael, who went camping alone in a remote area. Everything was going smoothly until the second night when he heard something strange outside his tent. It started as a faint whispering, growing louder and more frantic. Michael initially thought it was just the wind, but the whispers became clear. Someone was calling his name. He grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside, but saw nothing. The whispering stopped as soon as he emerged. Feeling uneasy, Michael decided to stay awake. Around midnight, he noticed shadows moving around his tent, despite there being no wind. The next morning, Michael found disturbing messages scratched into the dirt around his campsite. They were warnings of danger and threats. He packed up and left immediately, never returning to that spot. To this day, he has no idea who or what was trying to get his attention. At a gas station in Lakewood, Colorado, a customer pulls up late at night. The station is quiet, with only the hum of the fluorescent lights breaking the silence. The attendant watches as the customer enters the store to pay, but as the minutes tick by, the customer doesn't return. Curious, the attendant goes into the store and finds it empty. The door chimes and he notices that the car is still parked at the pump. He checks the parking lot and sees no sign of the customer. The car's engine is still running, but the driver's seat is empty. The attendant calls the police, and when they arrive, they find no trace of the customer. The security footage shows the customer entering the store, but never leaving. The incident remains unsolved, leaving the station with a chilling air of mystery and an unsettling feeling that something supernatural may be at play. During a quiet evening babysitting two young children, Lisa received a call from an unfamiliar number. On the other end, a voice with a chilling calmness asked, "Have you checked the children?" Assuming it was a prank, Lisa hung up. The calls continued, each one more insistent. Growing worried, Lisa checked on the kids repeatedly, finding them safe each time. When she called the parents, they assured her they were on their way back. Just as she was about to hang up, Lisa's heart nearly stopped. The parents revealed they had received multiple calls from the same number, but their phone had been left in the car. They were miles away. Lisa turned around and saw the caller standing in the hallway, a silhouette framed by the doorway. The police never found him, and Lisa's once trusted job was forever tainted by fear. Business traveler Mark stayed at an old hotel rumored to be haunted. He dismissed the stories as folklore until he experienced them firsthand. Each night, strange noises filled his room, whispers, creaking floors, and the sound of a door opening and closing. One night, driven by curiosity and fear, Mark set up a recording device. The next morning, he reviewed the footage and was met with sheer terror. An apparition of a woman in vintage clothing appeared, moving through the room, staring directly into the camera. Mark's attempts to confront the hotel staff were met with cold indifference. His nights there were restless, and he left the hotel as soon as he could. To this day, Mark can't shake the feeling that someone or something was watching him, even after he checked out. If these stories unsettled you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling tales. Have your own eerie experiences? Share them in the comments below. Until next time, keep your lights on and your doors locked.